Hi, Dr. Pitt. My name is Meredith Shepard, and today I'm kind of going to go through all three of the article reviews I did, more focusing on my first one about physical appearance and the struggles that women face with that, and my article with men's struggles. So, to kind of start, I think it's important to note that men and women do differ, but they also share a lot of similarities. Yeah, they differ in the struggles that occur in their life, but each gender is still pressured by society to live up to these stereotypes. And I think it's important that these things are talked about, so maybe some of these stereotypes can uh, lower or even be gone. But I know that's not always possible. But the three articles that I reviewed are Aging and My Beauty Dilemma. So that is the article more about the physical appearance struggles. Challenges facing older women. That more has to do with other struggles that women face, not necessarily physically. And why men have such a hard time with aging, and that explores the struggles that men have in their life. So, to get started with Deborah Spar's article about beauty dilemmas and aging, I just really liked this article because it was kind of just something from her point of view as an aging woman. And she lives in Manhattan, so that's kind of more upscale, and I think that they're under a little more pressure to be up to beauty standards than someone from small town Ohio. So it was cool to see it from her perspective, someone who goes to parties and is with all these people a lot of the time. So Spar kind of discusses that she describes herself as a two-faced hypocrite, which I thought was interesting. But what she meant by that is she's opposed to these things that go against the natural aging process, but then again, she also finds herself kind of wanting them sometimes when she finds little things about herself that she doesn't like. She understands the aging process, she knows that it's natural, but it's really easy to get sucked into wanting these things when so many people around you in society is constantly telling you that you have to look thin, you have to look young, you have to be fresh, even as you're aging. It's just simply not possible as a 60-year-old to look like you did when you were 40, even, or 30. So she kind of discusses how in the media, most people, you don't really see people with wrinkles or anything, and Botox and tummy tucks and things like this are quick little fixes that can help a woman's appearance look better. And she kind of just discusses how she doesn't judge these women for doing these things, but she's very understanding about it. She gets that there's a lot of pressure to look good at all times because she's in the same situation. She just doesn't always do it, which is why I kind of think she's more of an in-between woman. Um, in class, we talked about how there were three types of women. One of the women do whatever they can to stay young. Another one does some things like maybe color their hair, but they don't care a whole lot. And then some women just don't really care at all. I think that she's more of the in between because, yeah, she notices these things, but she's not going to do anything to stay looking young. Um, so I think that it was just really good for me to read this article to kind of see it in a real life situation, the things we've been discussing throughout the semester. My next article, Challenges Facing Older Women, kind of tackle issues regarding the inequalities that women face, like lower pay, which does not set them up for good retirement, and it's just a less standard of living. Miyambo Naguka, the author of this article, stated that many older women suffer significant health inequities, enjoy fewer human rights, and have less financial security, with fewer savings and assets to support an adequate standard of living in older age. I think this quote just really highlights that women don't get as many benefits as men, and it's something that is important to shed light on so that in the future it can get better. And it has gotten better from years ago, but it needs to continue to improve. Something I also found really interesting in this article was the amount of domestic violence that women face, especially in domestic countries. But the interesting thing is most countries only keep track of violence against women in the age group from 15 to 49. This is kind of the reproductive years. I think it's kind of ridiculous that a woman's worth is almost placed on whether they can reproduce or not. So I think that's definitely something that needs to be looked at more, especially when older women are experiencing this violence. She just goes on to continue to discuss these inequalities and why it's so important for women to receive equal rights in everything, like owning property, and yeah, they are family caregivers, but they still need to make money because on average women are going to live longer than their husbands, and then they're left on their own. So she just really highlights those more the harder issues. And then in my last article, Why Men Have Such a Hard Time with Aging, it really looks at how men struggle with masculinity. Men traditionally are taught that they have to be strong, they have to be stoic, they have to take care and provide for their family, and they're not supposed to be very emotional beings. And this article just kind of discusses that this puts a lot of pressure on men, and when they're constantly pressured to be strong and not emotional all the time, it leaves them worse off at retirement because they think they have to be how they were 30 years prior or be able to still exercise as much as they used to. A quote that I really liked from Dr. Addis, he said that men don't have to let go of feeling physically fit in old age. They can still be incredibly fit into their 60s and 70s or later. It's okay to challenge yourself, but adjust your expectations. So really it's just getting through to men and letting them understand that they're not going to be where they once were, and just accepting that. And I think that's something that society has to accept. Another area of living that makes it harder for men to age is retirement, because working is typically pretty important, especially if you're high up in your company, like a CEO. You lose that control or that sense of control, and sometimes men can really struggle with this. So maybe taking a part-time job after you retire would be good for men to still kind of feel that working environment. And then also with the emotional beings, I think men just need to have a better understanding that it's okay to be emotional, and that's something that society needs to accept. And men just need to focus less on what society tells them they need to be with their masculinity. You can be masculine and still be emotional. You can do these things, and they just need to worry more about enjoying the life they're living. So, yeah, men and women differ a lot in the struggles that they face, but I still think they share a lot of similarities because they're still pressured no matter what to meet these different guidelines or expectations as they age. And I think it's just important to shed light on these things so that they can age healthier and just enjoy that time. So I think we need to continue to speak up on these issues, and eventually things will start changing and continue to change as they already have. Thanks.